Hello there. Welcome back to Charles Circle, and welcome back to Captain of Industry. Last time, we upgraded our nuclear reactor from a nuclear reactor 1 to a nuclear reactor 2. Instead of just 90, it now produces 120 megawatts of power, and it accepts reprocessed fuel in the form of MOX rods. You know what else it does? It spits out spent MOX. And you know what we didn't do is account for that. And you know what that means? Radiation sickness, impacting the health of our citizens. And after I made such a big deal about building the reprocessing plant nearby to minimize belt exposure. Unbelievable. We'll fix that when we unpause, but that's not the focus of today. What is the focus of today? Well, at the end of last episode, we talked about how we're coming up against the limits of our current housing footprint, and that we'll need to expand it north because that's the least disruptive to our other operations, and that will get into the footprint of our current farming district. That farming district is long overdue for a modernization effort anyways, so that we could support an expanded population. You saw the video title though, so you know that instead we're going to kick the can down the road even further and revamp our train network. Partly, that's because I want to get the revamped train network in place so I know where we have room for farms. Partly, that's because I want to avoid a couple potentially awkward upcoming mining transitions, particularly copper and limestone. Partly that's because I want to get a couple new mining setups going, especially gold over here, so that we can do microchips and electronics 3. But honestly, I just woke up this morning and felt like working on trains, so that's what we're doing. There's going to be 3 main chunks to today's work. First, we're going to have to upgrade our vehicle parts production area. We need to add Vehicle Parts 3 and a Depot 3 so that we can start upgrading to mega vehicles. We also want to use Vehicle Parts 2 as a contract export for a number of goods, raw materials particularly, that we can get at great ratios going forward. So we might as well account for that and increase our throughput there too. The second big chunk of work, once that's all reinforced and we'll be able to add large numbers of trains at will, we need to do some line adjustments. We've got some old ones we'll need to get rid of. We'll have a few stations we'll need to add or remove, and set up some new lines as well. And the third big chunk is going to be general track and traffic optimization. Partly we need to clean up some of our early days, we're still learning how to make trains work. Partly we're just using more and bigger trains these days, and that's kind of forcing our hand on this. But either way, our traffic is starting to impact throughput of trains and goods getting through our base. It's not going to get better as time goes by unless we do something about it. So, we're going to stay pretty tight on workers for another episode. So we'll upgrade more assemblies along the way. We've got the construction parts 4, so that shouldn't be an issue. That'll help us free up the pops that we need to add trains, train stations, etc. As a result, we'll probably stay pretty light on research this episode as well. We're only operating at 25% capacity. Let's grab, let's think about the food stuff happening in the future. Let's maybe grab some of that tech. Over the course of the episode, 0 rush. Okay. The other thing that's going to be helpful though with the work that we're doing is that, for example, if we set up another oil train, we can dial back our usage of oil rigs on the world mine, as well as pops associated with transporting it back. So it should actually be a net gain for us as well. Okay, but before we do that, we have to fix our nuclear waste kerfuffle. So, Here's the thing, and this is not this is an explanation, not an excuse for the oversight, but this will eventually be our spent MOX storage anyway, because spent MOX can, at a future tech, also be reprocessed in the same building, probably using the same belts. Of course, we have to get there first, though, and we still have some spent fuel to run through. You'll see, of course, that spent fuel will still come out on this line because we are still running. We can't run 100% on MOX rods. We still have to generate and burn the uranium rods to create the spent waste to make MOX rods in the first place. So we do need this line to be able to handle both. So we're going to add a temporary storage out here, and we'll add a little product filter and then run this back once we've processed our stockpile of spent fuel. So I will be right back. Well, all right. That should do it. We'll need some trucks to bring this out, but we are letting them bring it here directly. And the spent MOX, which we are going to have to reset there as well, should now be filtered out temporarily to this storage. A little bit worried there's still some in here. Yeah, there is, of course. But there we go. This should operate just fine in the meanwhile. Okay. As we said, eventually, we're going to run down this stock of spent fuel. In fact, perhaps we very nearly already have, but we will let that go for a bit for now. But please do get this out of here quickly. Okay, so let's do the fun stuff. So let's talk first about the revamp of this area. Why don't we just upgrade in place our vehicle depot 2 to a 3, right? Well, it's a much larger building. So we could move it somewhere else. We could move the train depot somewhere else. But I kind of like how this is. It's definitely not optimal. I definitely wouldn't build it this way again from scratch. But it adds some character. And there's a history, I suppose, to our layout. So I think we're going to try to preserve it. And I think that's doable. So what we'll probably try to do is build it roughly down in this corner. And then work around that to build a series of upgraded assemblies. I think we're going to aim for 4 assemblies on vehicle parts 2. I think we only need 1 assembly downstream of that, adding electronics 2 to make vehicle parts 3. Because again, the primary use for vehicle parts 2 for us is going to be export and trains. No mega trains. It's just going to take vehicle parts 2. And since we'll need 1 vehicle parts 1 for each 2 vehicle parts 2 assemblies, 4 of these upgraded robotic assembly vehicle parts 2s will mean we'll need 2 vehicle parts 1s, and each of those will need its own one-to-one supporting mechanical parts. That'll still come from steel, no problem there. But it'll mean more of these machines. I think we're also going to add, probably not a large storage like this, but maybe a second of these small storages in a row for rail parts, because every time we do a big rail building project, I feel like we go through them pretty quickly. You can always take a loan, but I'd rather not, if we can help it. But other than that, it's basically the same parts, right? So to make a mega vehicle, and by the way, trucks break out into loose or liquid and gas. For large hauling trucks, you have to build them separately, fit for purpose. And these mega excavators, they take parts 3 instead of parts 2, but they're otherwise going to require the same pieces as their predecessor, in more quantities, but generally, we'll still need rubber, diesel, and steel. So, I think I'm going to dive into this little rebuild. It should be pretty straightforward, and we'll chat again on the other side. All All right, I think that's what we're going to do here. This is a bit more compact and obviously has more buildings than we used to have. The one thing I did take out and not put back was the wood, because we so rarely build these hopper cars, or sorry, these flatbed wagons that require them. We can deliver that by hand, I suppose. It's really not that far. So other than that, though, everything else is here, including the fuel station is even a bit upgraded. Maybe we'll throw some trucks at that. And yeah, I think we should build it, really all of it, right away. So let's do that. Can we? I think we can. Bam. Well, that feels nice. I did rearrange a little bit the construction parts for electronics 2 input because it's reasonably a shared one. But between these two spaces, it felt like we should have more storage anyway, which will make a nice segue. Let's come back to that in a moment. But we should have everything else we need here. So I wanted to allow extra vehicle parts to be added in by trucks here. So they are prioritized. That is because we have a bunch of them, quite a bunch of them, because when we upgraded all those pickups to normal trucks, we got back the vehicle parts 1. They were stored in the depot 2, and they were stuck there. There's unfortunately nothing you can really do about that, I don't think, short of deleting and rebuilding the depot. But hey, we've done that, so it would be a bummer to waste that. Let's send them over here. The other thing we managed to do was get a large rail parts storage going, which I feel good about. And then this will be our export for parts 2. This fella, for some reason, did not get built, but should open out nicely here. And yeah, we're gonna be in good shape, I think. Pretty satisfying. Let's let the parts roll in here. But you'll also notice, right, we've built more, although I suppose we're about to even that out here, but we've built more buildings, right? And yet our employment is going to be roughly the same. There's another 16 that we'll lose once this goes up. But we were at, what, about 30 before, so not so bad. And this will really allow us to export the heck out of some vehicle parts too. This also has a priority balancer, right? For whichever we want. There's 3 outputs. This will be to export, although since we have still quite the storage, I suppose we'll prioritize elsewhere. Let's say to vehicle parts 3 for now. And our train setup will, of course, take quite a few as well. But once this is fully built and up and running, it should really start humming along, which is fun. Also paved everything, you know? I feel like we're at that point. Paving should be part of builds. So there it is. Let's maybe start some upgrades too. What do we think is the best first upgrade? I mean, mining throughput is dramatically better with the large excavators, but it's not like we're really struggling on mining throughput anywhere. It's really mining supply. That's the thing that makes us a little anxious. I suppose if we are anywhere interested, it's out here. So let's do that. We'll get a few large excavators to go get upgraded. And that'll be a fun way to show that off. So we'll keep an eye on that, and they'll be out soon, I'm sure. Let's then jump into the train line manager. So sadly, our coal manufacturing import line, this is our very first original train line. We got rid of the last train. And spoiler, I think I have a nice little plan for that later. to honor his efforts, but this line itself can go. No need anymore. Other things we should be doing. This coal train really shouldn't be a shuttle. It doesn't need any more because it's not stopping at that terminus station that was out here. It doesn't need an engine on both ends. And in fact, having an engine on both ends slows it down a tiny bit. So what we're going to do is that. And then we'll tell it to scrap that one. I think we have enough. Yeah, we have enough cars basically already to get that out right away. So hopefully as soon as he's done dropping off this coal here, which it is keeping up, which is nice despite the traffic, that should hopefully speed him along a tiny bit. We'll take that. The other thing I want to do, looking back over here also, right, is this copper does not really seem to be keeping up. And I hope that that'll get better when we fix some traffic, because this is who we're talking about, and he's waiting. But ultimately, I do think we probably want to build a second one of those as well. From here, it becomes a question of which stations do we want to work on next? And I actually think we might add a fun one first. This is now like very high throughput electronics 2 required. Look how many trucks are about to run off to top this fella off. We have quite a bit of it out here, of course, but it's a matter of getting it across town, so to speak. I think what we might do is a little shuttle train, a little delivery service. Now that's in the middle of this road, and it could be difficult to make happen. But I think we can make it happen. We left this road pretty wide for things like this, I suppose. So I want to give it a shot. And if it sucks, we'll get rid of it. But I'm actually cautiously optimistic. I think we should try this. Let's see how it goes. Of course, that's only one half of it. And we might as well sketch out the train. But it would be, finally, I think one of these flatbeds. Product filter, electronics 2. Not that it'll matter, but for our own visibility. Build it. Now, of course, we need the other end of that. Let's label it. What is our convention? That's another thing we should really probably clean up, right? So we'll call this maybe manufacturing, meaning our downtown area, electronics 2 import. Save. Track actually probably needs to... Of course, this needs to be bidirectional, which means we do need a way for this to get back onto this line. And this is too tight, so that's not happening. What we'll need instead is a nice little bidirectional crossover. That can be bidirectional as well. And voila. I think that should work. Cool. No compute is a problem. I suppose we did just add a whole bunch. I think we're going to have to add a second compute farm. Once we can straighten this out, when this is all cleared up, hopefully later this episode, we can add more in this space. But I think until then, we are going to have to still add some, you know? I don't think we can live without another little bump there. So where is some more dead space in our base that we can fill? It's kind of an argument out here, really, but I want to redo all of this and I don't want to be constrained by that. So maybe just for now, we'll squeeze one in here and hope it's out of the way. And really, if this is an office park, I suppose we can start thinking about adding over there. But let's not build any more of those that we have to right away. All right, the other end of that train station is required. Done and done. And this train is already ready. So we need to make the new line. Perfect. We'll call this Electronics 2. Let's say manufacturing. Import. And go like so. And we'll say start, of course, out here. And come on in here. I think we're good. Let's see how that works. Maybe we'll have to make some adjustments, but I think that should be okay. Waiting for free track. Wow, why does he need to go like that? That doesn't seem... because he has to get here first. Sure, fine. I suppose we could just quickly add this motion. Don't know how important it will be in the longer run. In fact, I'm quite sure it won't be, but then we have it. It's a one-time. And he's already in motion, so I'm not going to worry about it. Cool. You are out of sand. Great. Kind of carving out this small patch of oil here. But yeah, I think this will be our first new train of the day. All right, what other work do we want to do? So I'm also looking out here and starting to think about traffic. This is kind of a mess, and I feel like we probably need to ask ourselves, like, train line by train line, does it really need to run through here? Now, for some stuff, it's very obvious. Yes, the iron and coal trains need to run through here. Nothing to be done about that. But our landfill train, right? I mean, it's basically going out here. We like this concept of transshipment, but at this point, like, where else are we really going to be taking things? We might as well just send it out here. So I think we're going to add a rail, like a double line of rail that goes out here and connects up to sort of bypass this. And other trains may use that motion in the longer run, thinking like if we start mining gold out here and we do our gold setup out here, but then we run out of gold, maybe we'd bring it in from over there. It'd be easier to sort of cut through. This is the other reason I'm thinking about the farms, right? So yeah, I think we're gonna try to do that next. So I'm gonna sketch out some tracks real quick and then I'll be right back. Well, while these are all being built, let's talk through what we just did. So, we've changed this layout so that trains can enter or exit from either direction. Let me reset these fellas real quick. With the idea being that we still need to send trains like this for the copper and sand delivery over here, right? But we'd like to get our landfill train heading out this way. I've also sort of started to extend these lines out. I'd like to move this over so that it is still in this straight line just for planning purposes, still kind of filling this stretch in first, but we'll get to that in a moment. We also don't need this stretch anymore. Go ahead and clear that out because no one is coming from over here to go to a coal mine. So probably do this in this area as well, but let's start by having this train's line adjusted. So this we're going to call copper sand mine landfill export. And what do we call this? Like Eastern Dumping Zone, yeah. So your job will now be to head directly out here. Done. And no, we're not because, you know, he doesn't have tracks to go on quite yet, but we'll get him there in a moment. Seems fine. And you're mad. Yes, we know, that's okay. That should help. And then this guy is stuck. So what did we break here? Yeah. An exclusive zone's being quite strange, of course. But does he have the directionality he needs? Maybe not. He's gonna come all the way out here. Should be fine along this line. That needs to be two directions, right there. This tiny stretch. Classic trains. And the alert looks gone, which means yes, he's still waiting for his turn, but he has a path. Cool. Who do we break over here? Well, of course, you're gonna want some tracks in front of you. The other thing we should do, though, is make sure that we have this motion back out here to the east, which is probably going to require us to come back at a different angle here. Looks like that's it. No problem. But I'm wondering, this is the one who's going in here. Okay, so this motion is not very smooth for him. What he probably needs is something like this, if it weren't so tight. Yeah, this is the mess we've kind of painted ourselves into here, unfortunately. The other part of this is, if we're not running our landfill here, we actually don't need this station and line anymore. So, in fact, let's delete it. That also means we don't really need this anymore. I'm gonna hold off on deleting this in its entirety, am I? No, let's do it. We're gonna end up rebuilding something in this area, I'm sure, but I think we might as well give ourselves a clean start. And that means that all of this can go too. Now we still need this terrible looking fuel line, so we'll try to adjust that, but this all should go. And I'm quite sure that in doing this we've broken something. And we'll find out. But that'll be the next chunk that we'll take out. Oh, interesting. Didn't mean to build this. So obviously I had to relocate the water. I was kind of curious, honestly, how much we even really needed it, because it seems like we're supplying all the water we need out here. That groundwater reserve and this one are both pretty full. And we had it prioritized so that we wouldn't have to use the groundwater if we didn't need to. So I don't really know how much we're going to worry about this in the long run. It'd be really nice if this could be the water for the farms. So I'm not going to delete these, but I'm going to pause these. I did not mean to build them. Whoops. That said, clean that up in the meanwhile. All right. Let's speed things along. Let our trucks clean up a little bit. Let them build a little bit. And what else do we want to work on here? I kind of hate this train station. And I'm wondering, now that we have upgraded our sort of cargo dock, we have all this space to work with, if there isn't a better way to bring it in a little bit more in a way that would allow us to make it a longer train and therefore have higher throughput, and also not spill out over into the environment. So I think I might go in a little bit here and see what we can do on that front too. One moment. All right, welcome back. Definitely broke all the things, but I think I like where we are heading, at least. It's going to take a minute still to get there, but I think we did the things that I wanted to accomplish here. So this whole area is much tidier, much cleaner. There's an actual proper turnaround here. So we won't need to worry about our train sticking out as it loads too much. It may over here, it can't be super crazy long, it may start to over here. We've also ended up switching from left-hand drive to right-hand drive to unify that over the course of all of our tracks. Our trains look like they're handling it. We've flipped the entrances and exits here. In this area, you're stuck. I think, yes, we've changed your train line, so we'll want to adjust that as well. So please go there. That'll get you going. Good. And hopefully, once these last couple crossings are done, we should have good navigation throughout here. Ah yes, I deleted this. We'll need to add another one back in, but I didn't like the placement there. Let's go right here. One moment. Okay, that's all built as well. Double check. Yeah, so we will need to restart that. So you start here, you load, you come back out here, you unload. Done. Why are you... Arrival conditions not met. Does that mean this is full? Yeah, I guess so. We need to let trucks be able to take from here, and we need to stop letting them deliver. That's what we need to do. Okay, great. I think these can go. Scale this. That's filled in nicely as well. And this is really coming along. Nice. Very good. We are definitely making progress on our longer-term landscaping projects, which is very good to see. I think what we might do is move this over. We clearly still need one here, but I think it's getting in the way of us being able to put in a better turn. And there we go. So fuel train's running again. We are making concrete. It's firing. It's got something every time. Good, good. Okay, so our fuel train is fixed. Is our copper sand train running? He still is not. Loading, unloading was interrupted due to a fork on the track. Well, okay. I don't really care for this motion anyway. I guess that's fine. See if that fixes it. Meanwhile, though, coal is staying full, which is good. Copper is keeping up somehow. Although you're missing poly because you probably don't have, what, sand? No, you have sand. Exhaust processing, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. That's important. That should come along here. And yep, we never reattached this. No problem. Done and hopefully resolved. So our oil train now, well, it's still gonna need to be a shuttle because this doesn't have a turnaround, and that's fine until we start mining over here. It won't. But that's okay. Traffic through here seems better. You are a copper train who is also struggling out here, I think. Let's see if this is better now. What is the issue here? All right. Good. He's working. Wouldn't mind tidying up out here, but I just want to make sure that we're functional everywhere first, you know? And I think we are. Still catching up on diesel production more broadly, but I think all of our trains are moving, including our little electronics 2 shuttle, which is great. All right, good. So then last little bit that I want to work on is tidying up out here. This double track I would like to actually be like the pass-through track now that we've simplified here. So we're going to straighten this out, de-elevate this, and we'll just meet up here. So, one moment. All right, doesn't that look so much better? We'll see what we want to do in this space in the future, but there's room here now, and room for some train stations. One idea that I don't think we're gonna have time to execute on today, but one idea is there's collectively across all these different spots, there's kind of a lot of slag that we need to export. And having a truck drop-off zone for a slag export train might not be the worst thing in the world. Our trucks do handle a decent amount of it, right? So, something to think about. You are going to continue to not have fuel until we do something about that, so we will want to do that, I'm sure. Maybe we'll just have him loop through the fuel station, if and only if he's low on fuel. Let's try that. I haven't actually used that before. It should work just fine, I'm sure, but kind of curious. Oh yeah, you're gonna want some fuel as well, I'm sure. That'll solve that. Okay, what have we done? We have gotten our refinery area tidied up. I feel quite good about that. This is still not my favorite motion, but we're gonna live with it. It's not so bad. It's better than it was. We've added a train line that's moving our electronics too, which is definitely helping our trucks. I'm actually pretty pleased. We managed to get a little urban train station in here, and our trucks are totally happy to navigate around it. It's kind of fun. Not bad. This feels like advanced manufacturing, truly. So that's great. What else have we gotten? This area feels so much better. My goodness. Yeah, I'm very pleased with that. And this turnaround and the direct sending of our landfill, I think, is also a good development for sure. And I think our next copper mine is probably up here. So we'll want to set up a train there as well. Maybe we'll blueprint a couple things just to feel like we're in a good spot. But this should look pretty similar to over here. It just won't have sand, right? Do something like this. And I don't think we need a big sorting plant. It's just one type of ore. That's really the thing. And I don't think it makes sense to truck it all the way over here either. So we won't plan to do that. I feel like our train traffic is much better here. Although I'm curious why you are... Oh wow, you won't even go up here until this is done, huh? Okay. How is the throughput on this? We're using most of it. Okay. Good to know. We could set up some sort of stacker along here if we wanted, if that becomes more of a problem, but I think we're okay for now. These feel like they're getting caught up in this turnaround so much less, which is great. You know what else we should do? We should add this motion. Because I think they're going out and around, which is not strictly necessary. Yeah, we are really going through the concrete this episode, huh? It's odd to me. I mean, you have sand, right? What is the issue? You're full on gravel. It should be a different line, I thought. Must have been we missed that when we did the upgrade earlier. No problem though, and it's working again. Oil from the world rigs. And I think starting the next... All right, that looks a bit better. Oh, you know what we should check on is the nuclear waste setup. How is this? Okay, good. Well, whoops, didn't really want these out yet, but that's okay. So what we want now, because this is empty, is for it to collect the spent MOX, which means, and let's pause, we need to clear out this area. And I guess pause this for now. So this filter pulls out MOX, spent MOX, but allows spent fuel to continue on, because we want spent fuel to continue to immediately be reprocessed, right? And so, no, not that. Definitely not. Come on now. So we actually want this to come down here and join up with where this spits out. But we're going to pause it for now because, again, we want this to be MOX. MOX will be recyclable in the future, but it's not yet. So what we have to do is store it. Doable, right? And then I suppose the other thing we'll need to do is get this MOX into here. So maybe temporarily, we'll just run it like that. Because we do want to drain this. There's not a ton, but we do want to drain it so that we can delete it. So let's let that run for a moment. Hey, sausage production. So this is now receiving all of our spent MOX. And Perfect. Right on cue, along comes a normal spent fuel to be reprocessed. Brilliant. That means, I think, now that we're good on the mocks, that, go, that, and finally that. Which, man, we could use the concrete slabs today, so we'll take that, no problem. The other thing that we should probably do something about is I just realized we didn't add a fuel station here or at the other end for our... Oh my gosh, and yes, he's rather low. So we should add a fuel stop along the way, kind of experimenting with a more intentional version of what we did up here for our landfill train. Maybe we can use some of this space. Hang on a sec, let me see something. Okay, I think that works. Let's see. He's definitely under 30% fuel, if he can even get there. Ah, shoot, we won't be able to test it here. Well, all right, we'll keep an eye on it. If he doesn't run out of fuel going forward, that'd be good. I think we might try to pull off the slag export idea that I was talking about earlier. I think we can maybe make it work. Let's at least sketch it out, see what that would look like. Yeah, I think that can work, right? Train comes in like this, picks up. This is where trucks all drop off. It is import, but priority 9. The only thing I want to make sure is that we don't, run out of our slag supply here. But even if we do, we have other waste products too. So I think this is good. We'll call this manufacturing slag export. And we'll build it all. And then it's actually a very simple fix out here. We just add another row, but for slag. As soon as this train gets out of here. So that should work. And then we'll need a new train. And let's go. Nice. Slag starts to trickle in. Oh, by the way, do we have any big? We do. Look at that. Got our first mega excavators. And they're working so efficiently, I keep forgetting to give them stuff to do. That seems good. There he goes. Apparently the color of slag is purple. I like it. The grand intersection. We should no longer need this. Or this. We really just need this track as a turnaround for this train, which I hate because I would love to have it just circle back onto this track. But I don't think that's going to happen, fortunately. Too tight of a turn. So be it. Slag export seems to be working well. This is good. Did we give it enough room, or is it... It's probably going to stick out into the road here for... Yeah. The last two, which isn't great. Guess maybe it would be better to have it over here, huh? Because who cares if you block this road? I definitely care if we block the iron. Yeah, that's gonna have to happen. Okay, no worries. Easy enough. And frankly, it kind of makes the fueling line a little cleaner, so we'll take that. Good. Whole point is to reduce traffic, so. I think this area kind of needs paved at this point. Cement's catching up, though. That's nice. We can immediately burn it. Paving paradise. Good. And he hasn't run out of fuel, so that seems like a good sign, too. I think I want to also maybe get limestone up here. All right, so let's think about the limestone longer run, right? Obviously, you know, we've had it down here, and that's not the end of the world to bring it occasionally up here. But we do, you know, store a decent amount of it. And we need it around our steel setup, right? And looking at our storages, it's, you know, it's not like we're swimming in it still. So there's a world where we end up expanding even further. So I think we need to have a train import for limestone up in this area anyway. So what I'm thinking is maybe, because once this is gone, I don't want to be trucking it from this mining outpost, right? And that's our next best thing once this mine is out. So I kind of want to be able to bring some up here, maybe? I think it's worth doing. Now we just have to figure out where there's room. Yeah, I mean, like, I think that works, right? So I think what we will do is adjust his route. Okay, so I think that works for him. We'll give him a little bit more turnaround space so that he can head up this way. Let's see how that shakes out. All right, I added a little bit of a storage buffer here. Otherwise, we were filling in too much with oil from the world rigs. And I think starting the next trip, this ought to, or maybe starting this trip, more fully drain this train. Which is important because this was already backed up and we weren't consuming this. We were spending more of our effort pulling from the world mine. I don't want vehicles to reach the cargo depot. Cool. Limestone train is working. Hopefully that makes a little bit more space out here for this crew to move along. And we'll wrap this up in short order. How are our mega vehicle upgrades going? Let's keep doing that with the terraforming crew in particular. It's very nice for this to move quickly. Hey, I think we finally, yay, triggered our crude resource low. Warning. Very good. We won't set up the transition quite yet, but this area is nice and flat now. It only has 30,000. That's hardly anything at all. But up here, come along now, we have more than that. Not all that much more, but another 100,000. So we'll take that. Very good. Well, I think frustratingly, it is time for our once an episode change to get this back to diesel. We need to get a more robust, fixable system so that we don't have to do that so manually, but that's all right. All right. What all have we done this episode? Because it's been quite a bit, actually. So, we fixed our nuclear waste problem. Whoops, but resolved. Okay. We upgraded to Vehicle Parts 3. And we have started getting our first mega excavators out, which is fantastic. We've also got a pretty huge stockpile of Vehicle Parts 2 so that we can export those for contracts. Of course, we're also able to crank out trains pretty quickly, which is pretty cool too. In addition to that, we added this Electronics 2 downtown delivery line, which is pretty cool. Our first little finished goods train. Been very fun to see that in motion. We also cleaned up the refinery entrance a bit. We added a nice little pass-through fuel train. It seems like this works well for our Electronics 2 train. We might start offering it to other trains if it makes more sense. Let's see. We also relocated the fuel export train station, which seems to be working well again too. He might need a couple more train cars now that I look at him. I think the issue is there's just not that much diesel to go around quite yet. We also revamped our copper and sand production out here. And it's a lot less traffic to pass through. I think it's a lot cleaner. It's also got a more direct export for the waste, which is good because we are generating more and more of it, I will say. As we get closer to the end of these mines, maybe we will start descending here. That's probably a good idea. The copper transition is not far away. We started to sketch that out, think about it at least. Nothing wrong with that. And we've certainly cleaned up this big import hub area. We've added this slag export, which I think is quite a success. This is not. I don't understand why he's stuck. Figure that out off camera later. But the slag export seems to be working well. And we've started pulling limestone up here, which I think will be a nice way to help push us through the end of this mine. So we've got a few mining transitions, I think, coming up, but we are in a good place to handle them. Our new big excavators have certainly made short work of all of our new terraforming. All of our new terraforming needs. I think they'll be able to handle that pretty easily. My goodness, they're really cruising. And we'll be ready, I think, very soon to start doing gold processing, which means microchips and electronics 3, which means data centers. So we don't have to keep making all these mainframes. So that's a pretty good episode in my book, but I have one last little surprise that I'm going to cut to here in a moment. You may have seen clues. I tried to hide them, but you may have seen clues here and there in the recording before this. But I've been working on something a little bit off camera. Let's cut to that now. Welcome back, old friend. We've decided that despite there not being a train museum in the game, we can make one ourselves. So here we go. I think, yes, good. We can keep him there without having to chase him down. And there he is. I wonder, we don't have any gold yet. I don't think we can quick trade for it. Shoot. We'll fancy this up. But I think it's kind of fun to still have it here. Helps us remember our roots. So, there it is. Something to distract us from the fact that we have no diesel anywhere in our entire base. But that's a problem for later. Well, I had a lot of fun with this one. I hope you did too. If you did, be sure to stop by again for the next one. Let's see what we get up to. I don't know how many times in a row I can promise we're doing food before you stop believing me. I'm sure you don't. That's fine. Let's find out. But until then, have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye.